The day I stopped sacrificing myself for others. There are moments in life that feel like the ground beneath you is shifting, that everything you once knew is suddenly unrecognizable. It's the kind of moment that forces you to question everything you've built, everything you've worked for, and most importantly, yourself. For me, that moment came one cold autumn evening, as I sat in my car, parked outside my best friend's house, watching the rain hit the windshield. It was supposed to be a regular evening. I was supposed to be at her house helping with a small family gathering, but I couldn't bring myself to go inside. I couldn't do it anymore. I had been putting others first for so long that I had forgotten what it meant to put myself first. I had been the dependable one, the one who always said yes, the one who put my own desires and needs aside to make sure everyone else was happy. It started out small, just being there for family and friends when they needed me. But over the years, it grew into something much bigger, something that consumed me. I lost sight of who I was, what I wanted, and what I needed. I remember when I first realized it. It wasn't one big event, but a culmination of smaller moments. The late-night phone calls from my parents asking me to drop everything and help them. The friends who always seemed to need me for advice but never offered anything in return. The endless requests, the expectations, the feeling that I was constantly giving, but never receiving. And then there was James, my husband. He was a good man, but he was a man who didn't ask for much. He never really had to. I took care of everything: dinner, the house, the bills, the kids. I managed our lives, our schedules, our finances. I loved him, and I loved my family. But somewhere along the way, I became a caretaker instead of a partner. I became the one who always sacrificed, always put myself last. That evening, as I sat in my car, I felt the weight of it all. I had been to every family event, every social gathering, every friend's crisis. But where was I in all of this? I was invisible. I had become a ghost in my own life. I had spent so many years trying to make sure everyone else's needs were met that I had forgotten to ask myself what I wanted, what I needed, and who I was. The rain continued to pour down as I sat there, staring at the lights in my friend's house. She was inside, surrounded by family, enjoying the evening. I should have been there too. I should have been enjoying myself, but I couldn't shake the feeling of being trapped. I was drowning in obligations, in expectations, in the constant need to be the one who was always there. I thought about how I used to be. Before I became a wife, a mother, a daughter, and a friend, I was just me. I was someone who had dreams, passions, and goals. I loved writing, but I hadn't written anything in years. I used to run every morning, but now I couldn't remember the last time I had done it. I had sacrificed the things I loved, the things that made me feel alive. For the sake of everyone else, I took a deep breath and opened the car door. I was done. I couldn't keep living like this. I needed to take control of my life again. I needed to stop sacrificing myself for everyone else. I needed to start living for me. I walked into my friend's house that evening, but this time, I wasn't the same person who had walked out of it earlier. I wasn't the person who always put others first. I was going to take back my life, even if it meant disappointing people along the way. I was going to stop saying yes when I meant no. I was going to stop letting other people's expectations define me. It wasn't an easy decision. Over the next few weeks, I found myself struggling with guilt. Guilt when I told my mother I couldn't pick her up from the doctor's appointment because I had plans. Guilt when I told James I needed a few hours to myself instead of running errands for him. Guilt when I told my friends I couldn't come to their party because I just needed a night off. But as the days passed, something incredible happened. The guilt started to fade. The more I said no, the more I realized that I had been living my life for everyone else, and it was okay to take a step back and live for myself. I started writing again. I started running in the mornings. I spent more time doing the things that made me happy, things that I had abandoned for so long. And as I started living for myself, I started to notice a change in my relationships. At first, people didn't understand. They didn't know what to do with the new me. James was confused, asking why I wasn't always there for him anymore. My friends were shocked when I told them I needed space, when I stopped constantly arranging things for them. But slowly, they began to see the shift in me, and they started to respect it. James and I had long conversations about our marriage, about how we had gotten so caught up in routines that we had stopped being partners. We made time for each other again, time that was just for us, without the distractions of work and family obligations. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. We had to relearn how to be a team, how to share the responsibility, how to support each other in the way we both needed, and my friends? They learned that I couldn't always be the one who dropped everything for them. They learned to respect my boundaries, and in turn, our friendships grew stronger. They saw that I wasn't being selfish. I was being self-respectful. I also started teaching my kids something I had never taught them before: how to take care of themselves. I showed them that it's okay to put yourself first sometimes, that it's important to take time for your own dreams, your own needs. I wanted them to grow up knowing that they were worthy of living a life that was their own, not one defined by the expectations of others. It wasn't easy, but I started to feel something I hadn't felt in years: peace. I didn't need to be everything for everyone. I didn't need to give up who I was for the sake of others. I could be a mother, a wife, a daughter, and a friend, but I could also be me. The me that had dreams, passions, and a life of her own. One evening, months later, as I sat at my kitchen table, sipping tea and writing in my journal, I looked around at the life I had created. It wasn't perfect. There were still challenges, still moments of self-doubt, but it was mine. And that, I realized, was enough. I had learned to stop sacrificing myself for others. I had learned that it was okay to put myself first. And in doing so, I had found the happiness and fulfillment I had been searching for all along.